because there is also that consciousness that is unconscious, or that is less conscious. And the less conscious is being guided by the more conscious to become more conscious of what is, what truly is unobstructed, unveiled by the mind, by the filter mind, by the conditioned mind. And this unveiling, this seeing, this becoming conscious, when we dive into it, as we are doing now, is what undoes the conditioned mind, the fear-based mind. Therefore, we like to always come back to this place. This is our practice. Fear only begets more fear when we're running through that mind, our consciousness, running through that density, through that lesser conscious filter. It only creates more of itself, and it will remain to be fear-based. And it will continuously, and it will remain to create stress in the body, anxiety in the body. And as it is coming undone, with the help of the times we are in, the fear level is rising. It has to work harder to self-perpetuate, to keep its place in your consciousness. It is holding on, it is latching on to anything that provides itself as a screen to project its energy of fear onto. And so you will notice that when you are alone and nothing is truly a problem, nothing is truly anchoring down on you, and still your mind finds ways to spin and spin and make things a problem and create stress. simply by having to choose a color in your case. For example, and little things will become so big and they will seem like a real problem or a real something to be upset about. And that is the sense that you are walking through the world with. And as the frequency is rising on the planet, as you notice this means that the dimension that you have grown accustomed to, that you're used to, is receiving a different flavor, a flavor that you don't remember. Maybe you have never tasted. And if you do remember it, it is still unfamiliar because it's been a long time. In your sense of linear time, in your sense of yourself, it's been a very long time. It's never been in this life. And this body, even if your soul remembers, this body doesn't. It's new for this body. You have never experienced the higher dimensions with this body. And they're beginning to bleed in. They're beginning to stream in. With your soul's awareness of itself. With your awareness of yourself. And this doesn't have to be any concept, any identity. It's just awareness. And it can be any concept, any identity, as long as it is aware. Because awareness itself is pure and has no form, and is simply aware, simply present. And taking everything in at core value, as it is. And as it is at core value, it has no story, it is only here now as it is. So there is no but, no split, no adversity, and no problem perceived. Because there is no framework in awareness. And as this is practiced and as this is becoming more apparent, more into your presence, even if it's just tiny, 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 you can't even hardly notice it. Sometimes you can notice it more. Especially when you come to it like now. This is freedom. This is freedom. And you know it. Then the story and the identities and the concepts of everything of life, they become aligned, they become harmonious, they become stories that are stories of purpose and beauty and understanding where everything has its place. They become stories of that are not separate. Peaceful stories, even though you remember war. And even though they entail war, in the grand scheme, that is then the greatest story, and you are growing into it, into the reconnection, into the reintegration of all, of everything that ever happened to you, of everything that is in your mind, in your awareness. Everything is welcomed. Everything has its place. Nothing is pushed away anymore. There is space for everything, and there is no fear of anything. All is aware of all, simply aware of what is. There is no more reaction. The body will react. And yet when you don't react to the body because you are aware and you are the space for it, then it is another twirl in space and time. Another movement of the physicality that you observe as a dance of matter and light that you directly experience as emotion. You experience it inside yourself. Like a fish in water, and you are the water and you are the fish. And this is what we call wholeness. And this is your true being. And that is bleeding through now. And as you hold space for this, you come to it. You support this process. You choose peace and liberation over being a slave to the mind that will always drag you into its problems, adversity, war, fighting, fear, and stress. We're speaking, of course, of the conditioned mind here. Conditioned in this body, of this body, in this life. And it expresses through the body. The conditioned mind, where consciousness is still less conscious and more asleep. And your soul, your awakened consciousness to your true self, even at the first level of it. And this is all a matter of frequency. And that is what is streaming in and manifesting as the body and in the body, together with the DNA and all the ancestral programming. That is what you have to work with. And the work is always the same when it comes down to it. It is very simple. It is what you are doing now. As you can feel your nervous system relaxing, letting go of tension, as the light of your soul can stream in. Yes, as you are aware of your true being, because you turned your focus inward. Now the mind is thinking of a problem that it can present to us for us to solve. And you came to us this morning. Your motivation was noticing how the mind, how your body is in so much fear, and how the mind is latching on to anything it can to provide, to self-perpetuate. You realized that it was like a veil, a filter over, like an overlay over everything. And you realized why. When did it begin? When did I get unrailed like this? I was doing fine months ago. And then it began somehow. And when one trigger was solved, even though there was still regret also being milked in the mind about it, the next presented itself. And you realized, wow, even over choosing a color, my mind could go crazy and make a real problem out of it and get really my body into stress about it. And that's when you realize it's not real, it can't be real. And that it's time to let go. Time to drop it all. And it's continuing in your dreams. You go into so much fear and stress. And it is showing you in your dreams that this is the frequency within you. Not 100%, but it is within you. And it is getting louder. As it is becoming undone, it is getting louder and pushing into the forefront of the screen. And the only thing that will seemingly get you out of it, that is your experience when you are having these dreams that are non-stop stress and fear, is when the fear gets so intense that you wake up. And you feel your heart is squeezed. You can feel the stress on your body. And it was just a dream. Just your mind creating all these scenarios, all these images that it projects you into. Your consciousness into. And then your body is also experiencing it. And all it knows what to do is to project itself, its own conditioning, its own frequency, where it's coming from. That's all it can do. I mean, it's just a program. Yeah, we just want to make you aware of this. It's like taking a blind man by the hands and and guiding the hands over the mechanism of the mind. And in particular, the conditioned mind or egoic mind, the separation-based mind. Where it has a split from the soul and identity in sense. And when it has that split, it is also feeling separate from its own dream that it is projecting and creating through itself. Although it is, of course, the soul creating it. The mind is a program within that mechanism of form. And this is what we are doing right now. We are consciously choosing to step out of that dream, of the lesser conscious or the unconscious projection. Because there is no solution in the dream, you have noticed. It will never solve itself. There are moments that are better than others, but it always seems to come back into, even when you have good moments in a dream and then it comes back, it dives back down into more fear and more stress. And why is that, you ask? Let us sit with that for a moment. Not thinking about it, just sitting and feeling the beautiful relaxation in your nervous system. With that, you can also feel the love streaming back in. The love that is your nature, that is our nature, that is life's nature. The sound within the mother's womb that is always there, leading the whole symphony. It is the bass line of sound. Mm. And it knows no boundaries. As long as it stays out of the mind. You can breathe with me When you are hearing this, beloveds, breathe with me. Just be with your breath for a moment. And enjoy the peace in your mind, stillness. Breath is like the waves on the shoreline. In and out. The sound of the wind, of your breath moving through into your lungs, through your nose. And the respiratory tract. The waves moving over the beach, over the rocks, over the pebbles. Your very own surf. Just the way it comes. There is no controlling it. It's just how it flows naturally. Not one breath is the same as the other. And as you observe it, it will change. The mind is relaxing, becoming these waves, holding space for the waves, being the beach, being washed over by the waves. Like a warm liquid. liquid, relaxing blanket, caressing your whole body. You look up into a clear, deep blue sky, and you see a seagull flying, a single one. Make sure your body is comfortable. So if the body is showing any kind of discomforts, see what it needs. Some movement, shifting around to make it comfortable again. Notice the peace that is here. when the mind is still. Yes, but the mind comes in and wants to say, as soon as you step back into the movement of life, into action, you're right back in that stressful dream. But all there is this now. And as it is now, it is always. This is the underlying truth. Always has been. And you can always come back to it. You know how. And you can always remember it simply. Even when you don't have the time at the moment, that you are remembering that the stress is based on the fear-based mind, on an illusion of yourself, on an illusion projected by the fear-based mind. Even if it's just a mental remembering. But it takes away the clout that you give, the gravity you give to your consciousness that is still asleep, experiencing itself through the fear-based mind. It allows you to travel lighter through life. When your nervous system relaxes, as you drop out of the mind, as you can feel it now, there is less fear-based projection happening because your frequency is higher and more peaceful. There's less stressful projection happening. And there's more space for everything. and less reaction. And this is your cornerstone. This is the most powerful healing you can give yourself, the most powerful practice you can give yourself that you know of. And it costs you nothing. And it's always available. It is very important that you know this. This is your gold. This is your abundance. This is your freedom. When you see all these wonderful healing modalities showing up in your field because they are a match to your field, and you feel like, oh, you would love to do them so much, but you cannot afford financially to receive such kind of help from others, at least at the moment. And then that brings up this sense of, again, I don't have enough, and that you need something that you can't afford in order to be well. Like you don't have enough. And like you're poor and stuck because of it. Also, if you only had more money, for example. We just want to remind you every time that it's all here inside of you. Everything you'll ever need, everything you'll ever want is all here right now. All the time, we're saying, all the time, in every now. Always we are here, this life that is you. This love that is you. And love heals everything. Everything. It brings everything back into coherence. All the functionings of the body into peak performance. Yes. You can desire to drink gold, colloidal gold, or whatever supplements you can get your hands on that do support the body, that are a wonderful physical support. And just remember that what all that support does in the end is bring the body back into balance, back into harmony, supporting the body's natural ways of coming back into harmony. And that's a good thing. It's a wonderful thing. But we want to remind you always, we want you to keep in mind and know that none of it is necessary if it's not already happening in front of you, if it's not in the flow of you reaching out to it and just taking it and getting it, and it's not a problem. The money is there, the joy of taking it is there. But if there's something in between that makes you feel like you can't afford it, for example, all the things you'd like to have to support your body, all the supplements and the medicines and the energy medicine tools and the healers and the mediums and the practitioners and the focalizers. Remember, it's all here. It's all here, always, for each and every one of us in these bodies. If there is one thing we would like you to remember, it is that. This is the highest frequency medicine you could ever get, is turning within. Turning within and remembering your soul. Knowing that your soul is here because you are it. You are that. You are this. This presence. And your soul is the highest frequency you could let into your body. The most powerful conduit for coherence. And thereby for healing. And the most powerful conduit, of course, these words are fall short. For reconnection, love, remembering the love that you are, opening the heart more, letting more awareness in, more light in. In the higher frequencies, there is no distortion of the currents running, and so there is no illness. In the higher frequency, the parasitical organisms cannot exist. And so, yes, it is supporting to bring in the light also on the physical level through what we eat. Everything we put into our bodies. And at the same time, we want you to know Don't let that become another burden, another stress. Don't let your mind latch on to that like, you have to do this, you have to be like this. Otherwise, you're not good, you're doing not good for your body. Even though you feel, of course, the consequences of what you put into your body. But what is way more powerful than that is to know yourself. Because if you make that into a rigid must, something to achieve, a plan, that you can fall short of, and that you have difficulties to live up to your expectations and how you want to live, how you want to be, what you want to put into your body. Because there are still those aspects of you that are running more dense currents, that are still locked in the conditioned mind, asleep to it themselves. And so the conditioned mind uses that energy and uses that sleep consciousness to project its own frequency, which is separation, fear-based. And that is attracted to, it's also, and projects and creates a food that is a match to it. And that's where the cravings come in. So the more stress you have, the more you're craving and attracted to food that matches that frequency. It is actually very simple, and this is what we want you to realize, and to lay your feet on this baseline. Feel this baseline of truth underneath your feet. You're standing on it now. And then the body has another way to self-perpetuate itself. I'm sorry, they're not the body, but those parts of the body, yes, that are running the currents, that are connected, that are an expression of that part of the mind, of that part of you that is asleep to the egoic mind. It's all self-perpetuating. It has to. It has to keep itself alive because it is an illusion. And illusions eventually die, dissolve, because they're not real. They're not true. The truth has no need to self-perpetuate. It just is. So you can feel now the energy streaming into your feet as you are standing on this baseline of truth. That the most powerful medicine, supplements, frequency medicine, energy medicine, healers, and guides It's all within you. It's all in your soul, in your true self. And that is who you are. And when you do need support, you will get it. When you need support to reconnect with your soul, to find a way back to yourself through your mind, it will be in front of you and you will have the means. It is that simple. It is in the flow. It is simply an illusion when you are thinking you cannot heal, you cannot receive the help you need because you don't have the means. Whatever it is, you're in the wrong location, you don't have the means. Your body is too broken, too weak. Your mind is too scattered, too convoluted, too burdened with toxins and heavy metals. Now imagine your mind, your brain. Even when your brain is burdened with heavy metals, as it is in your case, or at least has been to some degree, so let's take this example. And all the other conditions of the physical brain that you have, and the conditions of your nervous system subsequently. So let's say that you're suffering from heavy metals and pathogen toxicity, and you don't have the means, you don't see the means to physically heal yourself, because you would need to eat a certain way, which costs a certain amount, and you would need to get help and physical help in forms of herbs and supplements and power foods and medicines and whatnot. And you don't have the means to acquire them. Let's take that scenario as you have experienced this as well to some degree. So let's turn the volume up a little more on that and see if it's true. Let's look at it really. Let's really feel the truth of this. This is why we are coming here, to remind you, as you are standing in the middle of this storm, the storm of illusion, of separation, that has amassed in the matter of physicality of your body. And yet you are here to experience that no matter how broken, how loaded with pathogens, toxins, and heavy metals the body is, how psychically conditioned the egoic mind is in the war against itself. In how much fear you may find yourself. In fact, the suffering that you have created, the louder it gets, the more apt you are to turn within. The more ready and ripe and mature you are to turn within. Isn't that so? Because at some point you cannot find ease in anything, not even drugs of your choice. You cannot find relief. And you know that anything that is coming from an addiction is never the solution. It is only self-perpetuating the misery. That is the reason why you are reaching for a numbing effect or a distraction from this misery, from this stress. And even if the drug that you are reaching for is giving you, at the moment of its acting, it is giving you a sense of more, first of all, relaxing your nervous system, and then a sense of connection, which is always taking you out of fear, because where you are connected to your soul, there is no fear. Where you are realizing that you are your soul, where you feel your soul, there is no fear. But when the fear is so overwhelming and you don't know how to even have a moment of stillness within you, even how to turn inwards, and then you reach to drugs, whatever your preference of it is, just to have a moment of respite from that, all that part of yourself that is captured in the stressful egoic mind, and the body expressing that frequency and that discombobulation and the dissonance of it. That's okay. First of all, you need to know that that's okay. That's the best you can do at the moment. And when you come to a place where you realize that you want a real solution, you don't want to keep self-perpetuating that being stuck, and actually going deeper and deeper into what is causing you to reach out for relief. So it is creating more suffering. And when you come to the place when you suffer so much that you want to actually, you're ready. You are ready to truly and actually get relief. Real relief. Ultimate relief. Oftentimes that may be the place when you're ready to die. And when you may even want to die, or desire to just give it all up. Just leave already. Leave this experience. It is so much suffering. That's when you're ready. That's when you're at the threshold You're ready to dive in. You're ready to surrender. So no matter which way, what your situation is, life, through the mind that you're working through the conditioning that you're working through, the DNA that you're working with, and the soul that you are, will get you to that place where you're ready. That's a given. Where you are ready to dive for your gold and turn within and hold space for it all. And even if it's just in the beginning, seconds, that's the beginning. And seconds of awareness, of knowing, of stillness of mind, where you taste your truth. Eventually, they grow. They gradually grow. Not eventually, they gradually grow into minutes and so forth. And even if they remain seconds, they will gradually grow in coming through more and more and more. It's like that layer of illusion gets thinner, and the layer of true self is more present in the background. At the same time, you will also experience that as the egoic mind is being undone through the presence, it gets louder. And so therefore, we come back to the question, why is it that we still get derailed and that it always seems to drag you back down? And you have a moment, you come to a place where you feel peaceful. You're in a good spot, you're in a good place with yourself, where you are, so to speak, relaxing in the lotus flower of yourself, of the self-awareness, of the presence that you have made space for. Because you took the time to sit with yourself. And then something happens and you're derailed. And you're back in the whirlpool of the separate mind. You're back in that dream. Even though it's an overlay, but that overlay is so strong, it has such a strong current, it pulls you right in. And as long as there is egoic mind, the less it becomes, the more transparent it becomes, the stronger what is left of it becomes. The stronger that current, it has to run faster to keep itself alive. It has to work much harder to keep itself alive. Keep that program running. So just remember that. And remember that when the suffering gets to a certain stage, it will always pull you back to the only solution that is here right now, no matter what the suffering is. It can be physical or in your mind, mental, emotional. It will pull you back into yourself because you get thirsty for relief. And you know that the only way to quench that thirst is from your own well inside of you. In the stillness, through the stillness of your mind. And your soul will help you. Your soul will guide you to still your mind. When you acknowledge it, when you acknowledge your true self, enjoy the streaming through of the light into every cell of your body. Know that this is your healing. Know that this brings forth everything your body needs right now. Everything your body needs and desires. Notice how cooling it is. So know that wherever you go, you can take your medicine with you. Your medicine is always with you. Even when you travel and you're not allowed to take your physical medicine and supplements through the customs or through the, into the plane. Even though you don't have the means to buy all the support and physical medicine that you would like. Know that it's because you don't need it. Just know that. You simply don't need it. And what you are attracted to, and that is in front of you to buy, and you feel like, yeah, I have the money to buy this and I want to bring this into my life. There's no question. It doesn't come from that sense of, I need this, but oh God, I don't know if I can afford it. And That's in the frequency of the egoic mind. That is a self-perpetuating program. Oh, wow. So all that time you spend thinking about what medicine you need and if you can afford it, and oh my gosh, if I only had this, if I only had that, and all that time, better come back here to source the true medicine. And we're not saying that the physical medicine isn't true at all. We're just saying that this is prior to any physical medicine. This is the highest frequency you can give your body. And in the end, that is what medicine also brings, is code and frequency, consciousness, information. The code that is coming through now is code, source code, coming through soul. And there's no choice you need to make about what to choose. This is always perfect for you. This is always what you need. This is exactly what you need. This is the code that brings everything back into coherent alignment, so that that information from source code can reach every single part of your body, and that information, that sound, that light frequency creates the sacred geometry, the sacred structure that is needed to unlock the distortion. And now you think of in 3D ways. Yes, interesting. You think of 3D ways and say, well, but what about the building blocks? Can this high frequency light sound source code give the body the building blocks it needs? You know, the physical matter it needs to repair, to heal, when it is, for example, deficient? And on the one hand, and on the other hand, can it remove safely and detox all the pathogens and toxins and heavy metals in it? All right, that's a great question. Let's sit with that for a moment. Let's look into it. Let's feel into it. So the body is like the body of the earth. Everything we make, we take from the body of the earth. Is it not so? Yes. The physical body, the human body, is a fractal of the body of earth. Every representation of earth is also in the human body, and vice versa. Yes. So how does the earth's body make the minerals, for example? And how does the earth's body make the plants and the water and everything, that the medicine that you take to help you detox, and all the supplements and power foods you take to help you rebuild the mineral content, to give the body everything it needs so that it can peak perform? It is all taken from the earth. How does the earth produce these things? Yes, they just are. And they transform and they reform. But they don't come from a different planet, even though some things were seeded from a different planet, from different planets, yes. But they are part of Earth now. So Earth doesn't get its building blocks from outside. They're there. Now we have the notion that our mineral content is depleted and that we are very toxic and burdened with pathogens. and debris and pollution. Well, Earth has the same problem, so to speak. Earth has exactly the same problem or issue that we do in our bodies. All right, let's look deeper. It always comes back to the same principle. This is what we want you to see. But we also always need to reconnect and never come from the mentality, from the mental plane. But keep streaming through the heart consciousness. That then brings us into a higher mind access. And this is when we sit and feel our body and know who we are and who we are not. Who we only seem to be. Yeah, we're sticking to the question. Don't worry. Oh. Hmm. You see, it's that when you get stuck on wanting to know the answer and then your focus gets narrow and you're like waiting for it and it brings you back into your mind, we have to drop it first. We even have to drop the question, you know, so you can come back to resource. Kuranak naihtakno ur ihan kniata toshtono ur lukiatano avra makiata shtakno uri haikitataya arlaknu unushnu uhamakti. Come back to your breath. Let thine eye be single. Everything you need, your body needs to heal. When you source it from source code through your heart connection to life, to your soul, Even though your soul is all over your body, we always bring your focus back into the heart because that's where it streams through. And that's a good practice, to bring your focus within and to feel your heart. And also to just listen to your breath and feel your breath. These are all ways to reconnect. And this is at the root of every healing. Because what all those outside things do is help you to come back to yourself, to get out what's in the way, and to bring in, to bring the body into more peace and healing, and, well, that's basically bring the body back into more peace. And then that translates into being able to access yourself better. But as we said before, as we laid that path out before, suffering will bring you directly to the desire to alleviate that suffering, and into the knowing that the only way to do so truly is to recognize your true self. And that's how you wake up out of that dream that is a suffering dream. And as you do this, you come into that, you bring in through the light and the source code, and you come into more coherence. And now you ask, well, what about, can it also do the physical stuff that the body needs? And we say that what it can't do, it will, it's not even separate. It will do on the inside, it will do on the outside as it does on the inside. And the inside is always prior. So you will experience on the outside, your dream will shapeshift according to the shapeshifting or the transformation that happened inside. Through the increased coherence that happens through presence. There will be increased coherence on the outside as well. And so if there is a natural flow to bring a certain, now you're on the upspin, now you're on the ascending, now the light is growing. Once the light is growing, it just keeps growing. Even if the experience is in between, that we fall back asleep, like we just said before, it is just the next layer that is ready to be transcended. And as you're in it, you're experiencing it. And sometimes it feels like, well, what about all that time before that I reconnected? And it's like it's gone. It's like it's gone. And I'm back here in the deep dark hole. I'm back in the rut. I'm stuck again. I'm sick again, and whatever. I'm afraid again. I'm stressed out again. It's just the next layer that is ready, that you have lifted up through your increased frequency, that is ready to be seen through that illusion that has its representation in the body. And in that illusion, you will think, oh, I can't get the things I need. But as you come back to truth, you know that you actually don't need anything, and that everything that is conducive to you, to your healing, will come into your, naturally, easily into your field, and you will have the means to receive it, to get it, to use it. So you see, the inside and the outside are not separate. They also work as one. So to think that, oh, okay, all I need is to go within, and that's going to take care of everything. It is true, because it also takes care of the outside. And if say on the outside nothing shows up, or you don't have any means to purchase any kind of medicine, then yes, then you do have everything. Then it's like, okay, got to go within more then, because if I stay in the mindset that I can't get what I think I need, I'm going to be in suffering. So when I'm suffering, I know I need to come back to myself. You see, it's this, it's just one, one is the beingness of the truth, and the other is the self-perpetuating illusion. Oh my God. Can you see it now? Yeah. 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 Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And we are writing this into your heart now, deep into your knowing. And there is an anchor into your mind, into your consciousness, a light anchor that is light coded with this knowing. So you will always remember it. And as you are listening to this, you're coming along for the ride, if it resonates. And yes, it will spark that your own self-healing mechanism, your own awakening, your own ways, your own images to work with. This is through osmosis. Through osmosis, there is inspiration, because I am reaching out to myself in another self. And this I that now is speaking, it's not an identified I. Yes. And I'm telling you, you got everything you need to heal and to awaken, always. And I feel the truth of that in my heart. Don't get confused about the, I and we and pronouns and where is she talking from now? It's like, woo, it's all over the place, Yeah, just let that go. Those, what is it called? Pronouns? I don't know. And feel into the frequency of it, where it's coming from. Not like who, just the frequency of it. Mhm. I love this. I love this. Yeah. Because your own medicine is the most delicious and the most powerful, you know. It unlocks, it just unlocks all the treasures within you. And as it lifts you up in frequency, actually the frequency does create matter. Just not maybe at the densest level, but at that 3D level, we are still interacting in this kind of a paradigm, in this framework. And so that's how we interact with the outside. And then also, as we receive the frequency on the inside, we will receive that matter from the outside, where it is conducive, where it is needed, and but it's just really as a mirror of each other. It's as within, so without. Mhm. It translates from the higher frequencies into the lower frequencies and dimensions, and that's what it looks like on the lowest dimension that you are inhabiting. It will look like then bringing in whatever it is that you're bringing in from the outside. And but as from a consciousness of like not needing and wanting and not sure if you can afford it, and it's difficult, and it's like, oh, actually, and it's not enough, and all of this. No, it comes through a consciousness of just naturally it comes to you. You reach for it, it's there, you reach for it. And if there's if there's that financial transaction on the way, that's just how it works on this plane. But there's not that feeling of not having enough, or not being able to afford it, and all of this. If there is that feeling, that's the overlay. It's not the truth. It's not the truth. It is just bringing forth that overlay to you, making you aware of it. Yeah. Okay, so let us complete this session for now. It was lovely. It was wonderful. We love you. We love you. We love you so much. So much. With all our hearts and souls, we are one.